Hi, how you doing? It's Jim. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're a first-time viewer. This is the day after the night before, and by that I mean yesterday I had the immense privilege and pleasure to have been invited to go to London, North London, to attend an immersive listening of Stephen Wilson's new album, the Harmony Codex. It's on full release at the end of September, 29th of September. It's a 10-track, 65-minute record, and I can't begin to tell you how good it is. Well, I can begin to tell you, but I don't think my description is going to give it any justice at all. Now, people are worried that it's not going to be what they like. It's going to be seriously different from a lot of the work that's come in the past. Well, it is and it isn't. Now, I think it takes snippets of his career from right the way through. So there are elements of Porcupine Tree, Sky Moves Sideways era. There are elements of Porcupine Tree in Absentia and Fear of Blank Planet. There's Stephen Wilson, Hand Cannot Erase era. There's elements of all sorts. There's jazz, there's rock, there's metal, there's fusion, there's ambient, there's funk. I mean, it's electronica. It's everything, and it's an album which jumps around and moves to different places. It's very linear in its concept and its story. And by the way, the final or penultimate part of this book, Stephen Wilson's book, limited edition of 1, is a short story called The Harmony Codex, upon which the album is based. So if you've not read this, I do urge you to get, well, at least, I don't know if you can get the last little bit of it, but it's the story of what the album is about. Now, there are some quite short pieces in there. So 3, 4, 5 minutes, but then there are several longer ones as well, so 7 or 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something over 10 minutes. So you then get to have an idea that these aren't just short pop songs, and there's really no pop as such on here, unlike the Future Bites, which is very, very different from that. Now, I am aware that the single came out yesterday or the day before, Economies of Scale, which I very deliberately didn't listen to before going to this, because I knew I was only a day or so away from hearing the album in its entirety. So I didn't really want that to colour my judgment, as it were. So I was strong. I managed to not listen to it, to see the video, to do anything. So although I've seen a lot of people make comments about it and talk about it in other places, I had not heard it before listening to the album. Now, I need to explain something about the listening itself. It was surreal, absolutely the most surreal thing I've ever had the pleasure and the experience of doing in my life. There were probably 25 or 30 people. It was a large room, like in a small conference centre or training centre, that sort of size room. But there weren't tables and chairs set up like you would have in that situation. There were long banks of bean bags and reclining chairs and comfortable sofas. And dotted around in this room, this is what gets, I just cannot believe that I was in this room. Obviously, Stephen Wilson stood at the front, and I was in the very front row. So I was in touching distance of Stephen Wilson, and he spoke for 4 or 5 minutes at the beginning to set the scene, to talk about the album and how he feels about it and how we should experience. In the room, there was Jerry Ewing from Prog magazine. There was Nick Beggs and his wife sitting next to me. There was John Mitchell from Frost and It Bites, you know. It was just just incredible. And then I met Nee, the prog nerd, and I met Triss from the Metal Triss. And it's just, this is a room full of people who oh my God, is this really happening? I sort of serious sense of sort of slight imposter syndrome going on here. This is me. This is Jim. I'm from Milton Keynes. I make YouTube videos about prog music and rock and metal, and here I am in this room with people who I consider to be some of my heroes, and it's a very, very weird feeling. Very weird feeling. But there I was. And Stephen said before the album started, well, I'd like to take you back to how I used to listen to music when I was 12 or 13 years old, in the dark. I hope no one's afraid of the dark, because we're going to listen to this in blackness. And when we say listen to it, I've never, ever heard music presented in this way before, and I don't think I ever will again, unless I have the fortune to be invited back again. The system allegedly costs somewhere between £300,000 and £500,000, £500,000 for a sound system. So if you think about Dolby Atmos or something like that, you know, decent surround system you might have at home for films and for music, the most you might expect to have is a 7.1.2 system. So 7 surround speakers, 1 subwoofer, and 2 speakers perhaps in the ceiling. The system that we listen to this on is called Lisa, and it's the company who produce it is called L-Acoustics. So the L at the beginning is L-Acoustics, and ISA, Immersive Sound. Now I can't remember what the A stands for, whether it's adventure or architecture or application, something like that. So immersive music application, for example, it might be. And they are absolutely the masters of this, and they supply and install this kit all around the world, not just in London, but some of the big stadiums in London, the big venues, the arenas, have got their sound systems in there. And the sound system we listen to this on, 18.1.12. Yes. And the 0.1 was actually 24 subwoofers in a circle or in an oval around us. I've never ever heard anything like it. And the music that we listened to, the album, the Harmony Codex, was mixed especially for this system, and it will never ever be heard anywhere other than on this particular system in this way. So when we eventually get the stereo mix and the Dolby Atmos in a month's time, it won't be what we heard yesterday. It'll be the same music, but the mix will be different. So Stephen Wilson made a mix specifically for this session, or not for this session, for these sessions, for these listening sessions. And it was astonishing. And I cannot convey to you the feeling of being in the music. And I know that's kind of a cliche, people say that, but I have never ever experienced anything like it before. And it was just awe-inspiring. The music itself was probably the best thing that he's ever done. The most incredible journey of sound. And I'm building this up. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. It's all good. There is proper bass guitar. There is guitars. There are keyboard parts. There's proper drumming. There's Ninette is on there. Ninette is sounding amazing, and the whole thing. There's a particular part, and I think it's called the Harmony Codex, the actual song, the Harmony Codex, which is a spiral of descending thirds and whizzing sounds and arpeggios and movement, and it just just moved through this sound like you are in a dream, which is kind of the whole point of what it is trying to convey. And it is phenomenal. There are very, very proggy moments on this record. There are some very, very strong rock parts. There's incredible musicianship and singing, and songwriting is just stellar. The production, as you might imagine, is through the roof. I hope beyond hope that the stereo mix is going to be rewarding. I mean, it won't. I'm very, very disappointed and sad, as I said, that I'm never ever going to hear this like this again in my life. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I absolutely get that, and I'm so appreciative. Stephen's social media and web presence manager, and he reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to come to it, and I gave some yes. So I had a nice long chat with him at the event as well. I met other fans, which was really nice. We were all a little nervous at the beginning, and we chatted about what we hoped, what we thought was going to be, what we were afraid of, and then at the end, after we'd gone through this 65 minutes of listening to the music, there was silence. Now, you might expect there to be a round of applause. There was silence, absolute silence, and darkness. And slowly, a light on one side started to come on. It faded in. And then 2 or 3 more lights faded in. And the room came back. And then it was almost like nobody quite knew how to process what they'd just experienced. It was an absolute journey. It's cinema for the ears. And if you listen to music, and this music in particular, and you have the stereo mix, it's got to be headphones. It's got to be a dark, pitch dark place without distraction, without your phone, without your watch going off, without anything else, without any social media, all that stuff that comes in and gets in the way. Give yourself the time to listen to this in its entirety with your eyes closed, just listening to the sound. It is probably one of the most rewarding things you'll ever listen to. And I know I'm building this up and I'm coming across as very, very positive. Well, I can only report back what I've experienced and what I've listened to. It's astonishing, absolutely astonishing. You'll love it. There we go. Well, if that doesn't get your hopes up, then I don't know what will, but it's brilliant. I hope to see you guys on the next video, whenever and whatever that is. And until then, this is Jim, over and out.